So first things first, fiddle leaf figs are native to West Africa in the low moist coastal areas and just very humid, tropical, basically tropical environment, okay? So this plant loves humidity, it loves sunlight, and it loves moisture. But you need to be careful about giving it too much water. As this container right here, it actually has 3 separate trees in it, but they do kind of get a little spindly, so putting the multiple trunks in one container will help make it have more of a thicker appearance. And in nature, they kind of grow in like a big clump anyway, so you're kind of mimicking its natural growing habitat anyways. And down here, this is just some regular standard compost with some nice wood bark and things like that to keep it free draining. So the trick with growing the fiddle leaf fig that people kind of mess up with is either A, they keep it too wet, which is not good. It doesn't want standing water. It's not, you know, water plant. But also with a lot of plants like philodendrons, like we have here, and some other dracaenas and things like this, they actually prefer to be dried out completely almost before they're re-watered. However, the fiddle leaf fig needs to be constantly moist, but never wet and never dry. Trust me, it sounds really complicated, but it's not. So when I was actually gifted this plant, it was much smaller, and it's kind of grown. And over the time, it's actually done pretty well. Now this right here is kind of how I got it. It basically, that's from being too dry or being too cold, getting near like a drafty window or something like that. So, but this right here is a prime example. You might think this is like a low light house plant or that it doesn't need a lot of light to grow. That could not be farther from the truth. These are full sun plants in the tropics, okay? But they're underneath the canopy. They're kind of protected from other things, so they don't want to be out in the full blazing sun. But right here, this is the east facing window. It gets nice morning sun throughout the afternoon, about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and it kind of gets a little bit more shady. That is perfect growing conditions. This plant is so happy. It has literally doubled in size basically since December, which is about in the last 6 months. It has gotten massively bigger. And just look how big these leaves are, guys. If you don't never grown these before, look how big this leaf is. I mean, this is my hand. This thing's twice the size of my hand, and that's down there. As the leaves grow bigger and bigger up top, I mean, these on the top here doesn't even give it justice, just how big some of these leaves are up here on top. And they are healthy as can be. They're super shiny. So next, what else we need to talk about? We need to talk about cleaning these gigantic leaves, okay? Now they're gonna get dust on it. They're gonna get, you know, things from your house. They're just naturally gonna fall onto it. Guys, the leaves are the plant's energy source. It's where they get how they photosynthesize, right? So if your house plants are covered in dust, they're not going to be very efficient at transferring the light and turning it into, you know, energy for the plant. So I'm trying to say here. So make sure you do about once a week, go through, just get a nice damp paper towel and clean it off. You don't want to be too rough with it. You don't need to scrub the leaves, but you do need to keep them relatively clean, as they are an attractant for, you know, lint and dust and whatever it is maybe inside your home that gets onto them. Now, once I showed you here, right here, is support. Now these guys, they need to be supported, right? These are not going to just stand up on their own. You see how small these little trunks are right here? Pretty small, right? So this is a bamboo stake that's in there that is tied to, and as you go up and up and up and up, all of that weight and all of that top growth right there cannot be suspended by this little tiny tree. So little tiny tree trunk, I should say. So yeah, you definitely need to support it. So about every 2 feet or so, I kind of tie it off like this right here. These are actually little Velcro plant straps, and they do a wonderful job. And they're actually thick, so they're not going to cut into the plant itself. Now, an example of what you don't want to do is this right here. This is actually wax string, but this is actually tied off from the bamboo pole to this plant stand I have over here, because it is getting so top heavy, it just keeps leaning and falling over. So whenever that happens, whenever this plant gets to the point that you need to actually kind of break it down and kind of reduce the size of it, you can propagate, and they propagate very easily. Video will be coming up on that when I do get around to propagating it. I think I'm gonna let it get maybe another 1 or 2 feet higher up before it gets to the ceiling. And then I'll probably do the chop on it and propagate it, make some more plants, give them away or trade them or whatever. But if you do that, your plant will actually branch out and become more of a bushier plant instead of just a single stem little tree. But yeah, so there you go. Wintertime care. Let's go talk about that now. Do not let it get near a drafty window. It does not like drafty, cold windows. It will drop its leaves. They will all dry up. It will die. You'll be sad, okay? This is from the tropical part of Africa, so it's always warm there. Don't let it get below 50 degrees ever. So if you bring it outside, which you're perfectly capable of doing, and if you live in a nice, sunny, humid area, you can bring it outside in the summertime, but you do need to bring it back inside in the fall whenever it starts to cool off. That's very, very important, or else you will damage the leaves and possibly kill your tree as well. Now, that being said, that's kind of counterintuitive because these plants do not like to be moved. So once it's in a spot like right here, it's right next to this window, where it's the only place it's ever been since I brought it to my house, and it is thriving, okay? It's absolutely thriving. It dropped a few leaves when it first got here because it was probably trying to adjust to its new growing conditions. But guys, look at this plant. It is absolutely massive. It is growing so well, so well. And like I mentioned, it is a high light plant. So right next to this plant, and for other reasons, this little UV plant grow light I have right here, which gives it a pretty cool little purple feel to the room. That comes on every morning, keeps my little tropical plants down here full. Most of the other guys are actually outside right now. So this thing down here is actually completely full, and there's other stuff that is taller. So this whole corner is filled with just tropical plants. I digress, but right here, one thing you need to worry about when you put your plant like this to a window, it's going to start to lean, okay? It'll start leaning, and with all this top growth, guys, it's going to start bending. It could fall over. It needs to be supported. So it's a good idea to rotate this plant maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on if it's summer or winter time. Winter, you can get away with less. Summertime, you're definitely going to need to rotate it more because it's going to, like I said, it's going to lean. It's very, very top-heavy plant. All right, so let's talk about fertilizer. I go with about once every 2 weeks. I use this, it's a synthetic, organic, indoor houseplant stuff. It does fine. I mean, it's obviously doing well. All my plants are thriving. I'm not gonna drop any kind of name brands because that's just not what I do, but check out this big philodendron, this Bloody Mary philodendron. These leaves on this are spectacular. They're huge. They all get fertilized with the same things, and they are absolutely thriving. So that was just a quick little tutorial on growing your own fiddle leaf fig. Do give it a shot. It's really not that difficult. If you read all the stuff online about it, it's going to make it sound like it's this impossible plant to grow, that you're going to kill it. If you look at it wrong, it's hard to keep alive. You have a brown thumb, you're a bad person. You can't keep the plant alive. Could not be further from the truth. This plant can and will withstand just normal house growing conditions. That being said, last thing I'll let you guys know about right here, the humidifier. Yes, it runs. This is my dining room. I get it, but it's the sacrifices you make to have a million plants, right? You need to have high humidity. So yeah, I do keep my room here pretty humid, and I think that's what does help it out. People that tend to have central or forced air, the super dry air inside your house will make the leaves fall off. So if you're not willing to get a little bit of humidity, or maybe make a accommodation to have some kind of a water bucket or something near your plant to kind of help with that humidity, with maybe put a fan on it to help circulate some air, keep it really from drying out. That might be beneficial, but like I mentioned, guys, it's really not that difficult. This plant is easy to care for, and quite honestly, the less you do for it, it's probably the best. Just water it, let it have some sunlight. It will grow like a weed, and you'll be very happy that you have one. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helped. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time here at the Hillside for some more houseplant tips. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.